That's it, yes.
Yeah.
I'd call the meeting to order. This is the meeting of the Beaufort County Board of Education Finance Committee. Date is August 1st, 2024. It's now 2:32 p.m. We're at the District Education Services Center, Conference Room E. And there's also remote hybrid video conferencing going on. It will be live streamed or is it be recorded?
It's live stream.
Live streamed on the county channel.
Too.
I'd like to start by calling we call the meeting to order. Let's stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item is approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion that we approve the.
And I will second it. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, motion carried unanimous. Do we have any public comments?
No, sir.
Okay, need to have approval of the June 20th, 2024 committee meeting minutes. Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
And I'll second it. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, motion carries unanimously. Next item, monthly Board of Education report, and you will notice it's a little different. We've had it in the past. I asked our staff to add our salaries, the board salaries, so we have in one place the entire cost to the district of the board. And I can see some interesting things on there. There are some board members that are getting retirement, and these are board members with previous.
At least one is, or one or two maybe who were employees.
And they
I
have,
didn't look at the numbers.
and they have elected to get that retirement piece. One question was on Social Security, and see that's on there. And that's all fine, except for one item, number 12. But that's your Social Security. Okay, you're good. Other employee benefits is on there. And for this year, we're going to be at 64. And we're going to be at 86.9% expended in our budget to close out as of 31st of July. So we came in under budget. We also have next year's budget. And next year's budget shows that our budget will have an increase of $11,000 increase, and that's mostly has to do with additional costs. So, are there any questions on that? No, I don't have any questions on it either. So we'll go on from there. Next item is my favorite, the transparency report. All 166 pages. Campbell, do you have any questions on the transparency report? Oh, darn, I do. Let's start page 39. Our Bike Pay Trust Account, transfer funds to schools, Our Bike Pay accounts. What is that?
Arbiter Pay. So that is an account that is created. We can deposit funds into, and schools pay their officials out of that fee. It's a software system and a process that allows for the scheduling of game officials for football,
Okay.
baseball, whatever. And then they are actually paid back through that system, so they can, the problem we encountered prior to implementing the system, probably 2 or 3 years ago, was that game officials could not identify that this check I received in the mail today was for that particular game. And so this system has it all in one place.
Okay.
So that they are able to clearly see what they're paid for, what they're scheduled for. And the athletic directors and bookkeepers are part of the workflow process to approve them that they actually work the games.
So that saves lots of calls from. the
Yes,
referees to
and a lot of
coaches
paper
and so on.
checks that are floating all over the county and may not get to them timely
Okay.
and so on. So it was a efficiency regarding game official payment.
Sounds like a good deal. Okay, next item is on page 42. And that has to do with Board of Education 2023 School Board Bond Referendum for $25,740.36. What in the world did that pay for?
The election,
The election?
We have to pay for the election.
our portion of the questions on the ballot. So if
So
you
that
have one
goes, that
question,
goes to, the
voter
election.
yes, Board of Elections. And they charge us based on the number of items that are on the ballot on our behalf, and we get a proportionate share of the cost.
Okay.
So we'll have another one for the special call. election.
Special call.
Now,
In September.
now that will just be in the Bluffton area,
In the
so it'll be
Bluffton area.
smaller,
Yeah.
but those tend to be more expensive because it's
Just,
just the school district on the ballot. So we're, I've seen bills as large as $45,000 if we had something, but that might have been a countywide, vote or something. But we do have a proportionate share, and we are billed from the elections office.
Okay, well, I'm glad, Mark, I'm glad you're here, because my next question is in your area. I'm looking at page 54. DBT Nuggets LLC, Technology and Data Processing License Subscription for PD Training, $40,000.
Yes, sir. CDP Nuggets is a technical training facility. So we pay $40,000 and all of our technology staff can take certified computer courses throughout the year and get certified in the different aspects of HP, Dell, Microsoft, Cisco, and those things. And it's a very good rate actually, because if we send one person to training, like we sent somebody down to Florida last year for Microsoft training, for 1 week, it was about $7,000 by the time you paid for the hotel, the travel, and the training. And that was one person. So that was almost 20% of that cost. And for that amount, we get to train our whole staff to take advantage.
Good. Sounds like a good deal. Okay, page 81. Didn't mail it, didn't I? Page. Okay. This might not be. Seems we've lost that one. Okay, well, let's go on. Page 85. This is the Hargrave bill. And this is a Hargrave bill for May River High School. All the other high schools and other schools are, you know, 1,000, 1,600, 1,600, 2,100. But May River High School's Hargrave bill is $6,480.
Yes, sir. All of our other schools have a standard 1 meg or 1 gig connection back to the network, or depending if it's a campus location, they could have a 2 gig connection back to the network. May River High School is also our secondary data center. So we have a small data center in that high school, and we have a 10 gig connection that links that one and our data center here at the district office and provides redundant services
Okay.
for networks.
Okay, makes sense. Page 91. Page 91. You know, I look first of all, and I go through this, I look for the names of what the bill's for. And when I see Holy Tequila, gets my attention. Student activity, even more of my attention. Theater year-end banquet. $1,700, Hilton Head High School.
Catering from a Mexican restaurant for the
Holy
end of year performance, so theater performance.
Okay, you know, we might start going to something.
Maria's.
There's a lot of Mexican American restaurants, but that got my attention.
Yes, sir.
94. 94. Jerry Hart, who's Jerry Hart? Student activity booking fees.
Jerry Hart is the head of all of the game officials. He coordinates and schedules all the game officials for a certain, I don't think it's all of the game officials, but he is a referee. I've seen him at many softball games. And he manages the officials and their
Okay.
workload.
Page 131.
One oh one?
130. Actually, it's page 131 through 134. Sharp Electronics Corporation. What exactly do they provide?
Sharp is our copier and printer provider. So instead of buying copier and toners and all that, we switched about 5 years ago to leasing. And it's enabled us to save a lot of money and be more efficient in our copying technology.
I've seen that before. I just didn't, now it hits me that I've heard that before. Thank you. Page 135. When I go through these, you know, some things have me ask questions. And one thing that I ask a question about, when I see Singleton Concrete Facilities Acquisition and Construction form and pour a 30 by 30-foot concrete pad, which sounds like something we need to do. But when I see the price is $10,000, that makes me kind of, what? That tells me that's something that I would look for, has somebody done a competitive bid? Or this sounds like something was done, I need something quick and I need something now, and how about $10,000? That kind of makes me a little bit leery of the procurement process that brought that up. So if somebody could run that, wrap it down and see what that would.
Yes, sir. 10,000 above requires 3 quotes, so it does require some procurement, and we are not likely to have missed any of those. So we'll track it down with Ms. Junior, and we'll email back to the board a response.
Okay. Page 139. Again, and I've mentioned this before, But there's got to be a better way to deal with Staples and all the refund pieces that you get from them that's taking a lot of time. There's got to be a better way to have some kind of a contract or some kind of a balance.
Is that, I don't have the report right in front of me, but those Robert Smalls.
Yeah.
still-
Well, it's.
Okay, I think
Yeah,
it's,
it's-
that is a continuum of the issue we had in the prior month.
Mhm.
So, and that has been addressed with Staples, that that is not an acceptable way for us to have
Yeah.
returns.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll make a note for Kaylee as well,
Okay.
but I do know she has already spoken with our Staples rep.
Right,
That was not,
Yeah.
not an okay to
right,
way to work with us.
right.
And unfortunately, that creates a lot of work for them, a lot
Yeah.
of work and a lot of work for
Yeah.
us.
Okay, 156. United States Treasury return of overpayment, JROTC Air Force funds of $43,792.
I do know.
We found, we kept getting funds that we didn't think were ours. And when we finally got to them, they were actually sending us the payment for Beaufort from North Carolina's ROTC. And so we just had it in an account ready. We sent it back to them when they finally realized that we were giving it someone else.
I hate to give money back, especially to the Air Force.
It went someplace, it was going on at some place, yeah.
And that was your branch. No.
No.
He was on me.
Okay.
Mr. Campbell. Okay, last one, page 157. Variable Utility Life Insurance Company. Payroll run number 1, warrant $85,000. We're paying for life insurance?
Actually, this is a payroll deduction, so it's also known as VALIC. It's the acronym we use. VALIC is a deduction that we make, so it's an extra option for our staff. It has no match of any sort. It is just taken out and paid on behalf of so it's a payroll deduction allowing a benefit for our staff, but it is, my understanding is fully paid for through a payroll deduction. There's no match.
Okay,
I can attest to that because I have it.
Yes.
okay. So that's what I found through these.
Mr. Smith is online as well.
Okay, Mr. Smith is there. Good. Mr. Smith, do you have any questions about the transparency report?
No, not this time, just kind of listening.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next one is the $100,000 report, which of course comes from the transparency report. So, Mr. Campbell, do you have any questions about that?
No, I don't.
I have a couple questions of some items not on the $100,000 report. It would be very interesting. It may not meet the $100,000, but it would be very interesting for our constituents to understand how much we're paying to some local vendors. For example, Amazon. We charge a lot from Amazon. And that would be a good thing to add to this report. Amazon, what we pay each month to Amazon. Also, Hargrave. Also, Sam's Club. The Sharps Electronics would be also a good thing. Staples is another very big customer. We're a customer of Staples. We spend a lot of money, as do we with Walmart. this report is very valuable. I take this report when I am asked to speak at different Rotary clubs and that kind of stuff, we talk about the board, the school district. And they're very interested in how much we provide to the local economy. And, you know, they really don't, you know, they like to hear about paying what we do for the major construction things, but Amazon, they know, Hargrave, they know, Sam's Club, they know. They don't know Sharps, but I would like to be able to tell them that, you know, that's a consolidated report or a consolidated billing for all our copy machines. Staples, they know, and Walmart, they know. So could you add another box to this $100,000? It's may not come up to $100,000, but it's very valuable to let the community know what we're spending.
Why they're not already there? They don't meet the
Don't meet
$100,000.
$100,000.
But we have a $10,000 report that shows
Upgrade.
any vendor that would spend more than $10,000 requires the next level of procurement. It has to have either 3 quotes or be competitively bid, or they would show that we produce monthly internally, but you know, they don't come up. So you'll see like even some will be a charge in the current year, but they're maybe 100,000 in the prior year, but it's moved in notes. As long as they don't equal pull up to $100,000, and Hargrave does not. Yeah, they don't have to.
One other issue, Mark, I'm glad you're here again. PC Solutions and Integration Incorporated.
Yes, sir.
So,
They are our E-rate provider for our wired network switches and our wireless access points. And this is going to be kicking off phase 1 of a 3-year project to upgrade all of our wireless access points for our district office. It'll add Wi-Fi 6. We know Wi-Fi 6 has been around for almost 2 years. Like I've said before, we don't like to be the Lamborghini. We want to be the Toyota Camry. So we're just starting to upgrade those as they get their 5-year out of warranty status.
okay,
And these are the first schools listed.
all right, I saw that.
There's about 11 school children.
Right. Okay. Also, Plum, ELUUM USA, paid $182,000 for iPhone and iPad cases for students and staff devices.
Yes, sir. That goes along with row 2. Row 2 on your $100,000 for Apple computers. We currently refresh all of the K-1 devices for our students, and Blum provides us all of our OtterBox cases that go on those iPads to make sure the little kids don't break them every time they drop them.
Yeah. Which brings up the other point of, that's what I missed in my notes here, I didn't find it, is all the monies that we spend to repair the iPads.
Those would be the HP laptops.
HP
that are
laptops.
5 day. Yes, sir. Out of that 536,000, almost 140,000 will be for servers, laptops for staff here at the district office for different departments, and a refresh of all of our visitor management systems in the front office of every one of our schools. So it's not just repairs. We do see more repairs towards the end of the year because every student device that we have that's broken has to be repaired before the next school year. So we have to get them prepared and ready for the for the next school year.
And I see that most of the time it's the same cost, so I imagine it's the same things that breaking. And I assume it's the screen.
Yes, sir. And that's the biggest thing that's happened over the last 8 years is manufacturers used to sell an LCD screen. So either the LCD screen or the digitizer would break. Those were 2 separate parts. You'd only have to replace one of them. But now, in their almighty wisdom, they're combining those 2 parts into one. And that $150 part and $150 part now became a $330 part when it breaks.
is there any way we can harden those so that we break fewer?
We have looked at a lot of cases for them. Cases really just don't fit the laptop style. I will say that the HP devices we are purchasing do have mil-spec regs on them, so they have been tried and true because
Yeah.
HP itself knows how hard these kids are on the devices. And we do have a one damage per year per device that we do get free of charge. So those would be the second damages for those devices.
Because this piece that I got here that comes with it, of course, this is an Apple. This is a very robust piece. And I would think this would be, because you have to add this keyboard piece to it.
Yes.
But that makes it a heck of a lot harder, you know, more robust. And I just wondered if HP has something like that.
Right now, we've looked at, we reevaluate every year as before we start making purchases and look at all the new up and coming devices, not only from HP, we look at other manufacturers, Dell, Toshiba. But as of right now, for the services HP provides, they put 2 repair technicians, one north of the Broad and one south of the Broad. So we get our fixes a lot faster than a lot of other districts. A lot of districts have to mail that device off, and sometimes it could be 2 weeks before that device comes back. And that really puts a strain on the school district because we have a very minimal supply of spare devices. Spare devices are hard to buy with our clients.
Understand. Okay. Okay, Mr. Campbell, you have anything else? Mr. Smith, do you have anything you'd like to share or a question?
Not at the moment. I just was a little concerned that we don't have much spare devices in terms of what that looks like and for the size of district that we are. So let me ask this then. Do we have enough spare devices in the district so that when they are needed that we are able to accommodate everyone? That's my question.
When we buy new set of devices for, say, high school, we just purchased high school devices, we buy 7% spares. And generally speaking, that gets us through the 4-year lifespan of that device. Now,
So
by the time we get on that 4th year, we're scraping the bottom of the barrel, so.
Right.
It's
Well,
close.
Has there been any thought about the old devices that we're getting rid of, keeping some of those as spare devices? Because well, if not, what would be the harm in that?
The biggest problem with that is that we've gotten rid of labs over the years. So our devices have to run more applications, and about every 4 to 5 years is when that device is usually running out of RAM, running out of processor. So it's usually not capable of doing that. So unless we want to go backwards in time and start installing a lot more labs, we really have to keep newer devices in. I will say that even though we only do 7% spares, we don't have kids without devices.
Thank you. That's my concern. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
You must read my mind. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Next item is ESSER update with the dashboard. We're getting down to the wire here.
Almost all one color now,
Almost
then.
all
all
one.
blue, all red, so. We are down to the nitty gritty on completing the grant. We are, as of July 29th, 98% expended. You can see in the summary that, of course, we had summer school. Summer school was a big hitter. This is the second half of it. So you saw it was in July, so it was about 1.5 or so, a little bit higher million. In some other areas here, we do have, everything's kind of cut off. So we're just spending the funds in designated areas that are already approved. We will have to move funds to get to the zero on those activities for an amendment, but we are continuing with a little bit of furniture purchases for that. Our Epic Childcare Program for employees for these PD days, custodial services, anything that we can get first quarter out of, that's where we're working to finish up this last little bit of the grant, so.
Mr. Campbell, you have any questions about the ESSER? Mr. Smith, do you have any questions about the ESSER?
No, sir, not at this time.
All right, thank you very much. Fund balance transfer.
Yes, sir. So throughout the year, we've been monitoring the tax revenues and state revenues that have been coming in, as we always do. This year, as I've mentioned to the board a number of times, our tax revenues are coming in with a lot of growth this year. In fact, we do expect that it to be approximately $13.5 million exceeding our budget in tax revenue this recently completed school year.
Operations tax.
On operations. So this is our general fund operations budget. So the board has some policies relating to, how to manage our fund balance. So those dollars would typically just go straight into the fund balance and be available for, board decision. But we do have three main policies that dictate our fund balance. One is that we have a no less than 10% in the general fund of next year's budgeted expenditures, but a target of 15 to 17% of the annual operating budget for the next year. So keep in mind our budget for this year, this coming next year is $359 million. The fund balance should be maintained at a level that eliminates the need for a TAN, a tax anticipation note. And we are finally, for I think the first year, completed year, and we're moving into the second year, not requiring a tax anticipation note for the first time in over 20 years. So we're finally at a level where we can manage that and manage those cash flows without borrowing money and incurring additional interest costs. The third thing is that the board requires to maintain communications with bond rating agencies and continue to strive for improvement in the district's bond rating. So our bond rating, also known as the credit rating, is so similar to an Experian credit report for an individual. This is on a bigger scale, but it's the same concept. Credit rating is very important when we're going out to borrow bonds, borrow money in order to pay for capital projects. And as you all know, we just had a $439 million referendum. And we're getting ready to issue those bonds in the next couple of years. So it's going to be critically important that we are maintaining or even being able to improve our credit rating. And the fund balance is one of the primary factors of being able to maintain or improve that rating. We are constantly compared to our peers who also have a AA1 rating, which is a very strong rating. And that fund balance percentage is the key that they're making our comparison. And that percentage is the dollar amount of fund balance divided by the next year's budget amount. So with that, so the total addition to fund balance we expect this year is going to be about $17 million. We won't know the final numbers until likely, the final audit report is out December 1st, but we should know a little ahead of that time about what it's going to look like. But the final numbers are audited financial statements issued December 1. So that fund balance that is expected due to those revenues is going to be in the neighborhood of $82 million or almost 23%. And so what I'm recommending is to maintain the current percentage of fund balance at about 20% and move any excess into transfer that to capital projects funds. So, that would be my recommendation. And then the board would have some flexibility in the future for both that fund balance and the capital projects funds. Any capital needs could be identified to spend those funds with. So the benefits of this recommendation of doing this would be that we maintain the fund balance at a very strong position with a strong 20% fund balance. And that gives us a better chance of maintaining the AA1 bond rating. If we stay at the current amount that we have in the fund balance that we started with at the beginning of the year, we actually slide backwards on the percentage to 17.9%. So by maintaining the same dollar amount, we're going backwards as our budget is increasing. So my recommendation would be to stay at the 20% that we were at the beginning of the year. Also, it allows us to operate, one of the most important things, it continues to allow us to operate without a tax anticipation note. As our budget gets larger, those monthly operational costs increase, so it's because of salaries and benefits primarily. So that the impact on our cash flows is larger than the previous year. So you need more in that fund balance to maintain and sustain that cash flows need. And then having funds in the capital projects available for the board allows you the flexibility to make a number of decisions when needs come up. Whether it's, it could be equipment, could be vehicles, could be buses, it could be a number of categories of things that you need. Also, it could manage emergencies or catastrophic events. So there's a whole, and most importantly, you have the flexibility to move it back into the general fund operations budget if you have some sort of operating shortfall. So you have the power and the authority to do whatever you want to with those funds, but they're one-time funds. Any changes to those movement of those dollars would require board approval. We wouldn't have the authority to do that internally. So again, but hopefully it's the right one online. So my recommendation would be to leave the $7.9 million, I believe it is that the right number? Allow an increase of $7.9 million in the general fund balance for the fiscal year 24, and any dollars in excess of that would be we would transfer to capital projects fund. I would come before the board, inform you of the exact dollar amounts once the audited financial statements are made. And it also removed some dollars out of the general fund, so we don't have an exorbitant general fund balance that may not look negatively at the state level in terms of as dollars are allocated from the state, it would not appear that we have an excessive fund balance. So you would still have authority to move dollars in or out of that pot and the capital projects pot as well. So with that, I will be happy to take any questions.
Mr. Campbell.
I don't have any questions.
Mr. Smith.
I don't have any questions at this time.
May I add one more point?
Go ahead.
Recently, legislation was made, and you can correct me my language if you need, that school district staff across South Carolina are now going to be required for the first time ever to file a monthly report starting in August of the balance, what our fund balance is going to be in the general operations fund. So that is a law that was put in place this year. And that is the reason for this request coming forward at this time, as opposed to waiting until December, because we will end up reporting a balance that's going to be more in the neighborhood of 22 or 23% for the next few months. If this decision is made, it commits those funds, and we'll have closer to 20% that would be reported.
Okay, there's a number of things that need to be addressed. Number one is that we're going to have to keep a competitive salary structure for teachers. We're going to have a significant increase to match Charleston and our other competitors. So we are looking at a significant amount of additional revenue to do that, which means we'll have an additional draw during the famine times of revenue. So we will need a bigger balance in our fund balance to not require a TAN. That's one thing. Second thing is keeping our millage rate stable is critically important. And we want to keep not only our debt service millage stable, but also keep our operational millage relatively stable. We could probably go next year with only maybe a 1 to 2 mil increase of what we've got right now, if we are able to bank this money. That's a good thing. It's a hard thing to try to get exactly perfect of how much revenue and our expenditures every year. It's best to have a little and above rather than a little below, because then the following year you have to have a bigger millage increase. So for stability purposes, this makes sense. Secondly, or thirdly, actually, I got a great briefing from operations on our district fleet overview. In fact, Mr. Smith, you asked for this, and it came out, and it really shows that we've got some significant average age. Our average trucks are 10.52 years old. Our passenger vehicles are 4.9. Our school buses are 11.33, activity buses, 11.33 or 7 years old. Average mileage for our trucks is 140,000 miles. Our vans, 142,000. Our activity bus, 101,000. Now, those of us who have to keep our vehicles going knows that when you start to get that age of vehicle, your costs to keep them running and maintain go up. We need to spend some money, and we can't spend it all at one time because we have to have fleet management. We don't want to have a lot of vehicles have to be replaced at one time. A few vehicles every year is what we want to do. We need to have a little more rigor and a little more planning on how we do this. And we're going to need this extra capital. And that's what this could be, is capital expense from our debt service fund to be able to deal with that. We also have some opportunities for property that it's a good thing to have a little availability, money, cash availability for bargains that come up. And I think I'm predicting that we're kind of in a bubble right now. And I don't think this bubble is going to last as all the building is going on. I think there's going to be a time when they're going to say, boy, we got a lot of apartments, a lot of houses that are vacant because we don't have anybody to move in. We've been, I just had a briefing by the mayor of Beaufort. They predict that Beaufort population inside the city limits will grow by 5,000 in the next 5 years. from 18,000 to 23,000. Okay. Where are they gonna live? And that's why all these apartments are going up, but then when they get them filled up, that's a bubble, and the bubble breaks. And if we have the wherewithal at that time to get some bargains, and we're gonna need some more schools, we're going to need some more space, it's good to have a balance. Lastly, what we have to make sure that the public knows and the state knows that we, as a coastal community, are at greater risk for significant damages. That's why we want to keep our 8% borrowing authority very robust. But even at 8% borrowing, it takes a month or two before we can get cash from a bond sale to pay for the guys that haul away all the trees that are falling on all our buildings. As you, most of us were here at the last, this is Matthew, they came through and saw all the trucks that came from all over the country and started picking up limbs and everything and throwing them in there and hauling them off. You have to pay them. They don't do that on credit or, well, I'll pay you later. That local vendor that shows up to do that, he wants his money right then. That's why we have to have a robust fund balance. And oh, by the way, when does that happen? Well, the last big hurricanes that we've had here come in the fall, which happens to be, again, our low point in our fund balance. So we have to make sure that, one, the state realizes that and our public realizes that. And oh, by the way, the county's fund balance was over 50%.
I don't know what the amount is, it's larger than ours.
Much larger.
Much larger.
And they don't have to build, they have roads. But roads actually are easier to fix than buildings. So we have to make sure that we make that point. But we need to bring the board, we need to have a motion. And if you would break a motion up for the next meeting, next week, I mean, you've got a recommendation. Remaining fund balance and excess and so on.
Yes,
Yeah.
the last item is
Yeah,
a
there it is.
requested motion.
Right.
We've provided,
Right.
that any amount over 7.9 million addition to, that will go to the fund balance would be moved to the capital projects fund, which we estimate to be about $9 million. So that amount is what could go for some of the capital needs that we
Right.
have
Right.
in the district.
We also need to make sure that it is mentioned that when we get a windfall, and this is what this is, frankly, this is a win because of all the growth. When I just got a check from a relative that left me some money and I had no idea that it was coming. When that happens, you can do one of two things. You can schedule a world cruise, or you can make an advance payment on your mortgage, which is generally the best thing to do. We don't have that ability to do that because our bonds have call dates. And if you don't have a call date, you can't pay it in advance. So it doesn't work that way. It's not like a mortgage where you have that opportunity to do that. So paying down debt is not an issue, a possibility. The other piece is that if we maintain a robust debt service fund balance, Brian Nurick, our financial advisor, can see there are some times when call dates can be adjusted and he can make a bargain and make a deal. And he's done that for us many times. But you have to have the cash on hand to be able to pay early and pay it off. So that gives you that fund balance in your debt service. it gives you flexibility for taking advantage of those kinds of things. And right now, the Fed's saying they're looking for a drop in the prime rate, starting probably in September. So, things could be happening that will allow us to take advantage of it. All of that stuff, I'm just making these statements because I'm anticipating questions from the full board about how we're gonna use that money. We're not saying that this, I don't think you should say, this is what we want to spend this $9 million on. That's another discussion at another time. All we're doing next week is say, put that money in the capital account. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Mr. Smith, you have any comments?
No, not this time. Well, actually, I do. Just to go back to what you were talking about in terms of Beaufort's growth, it's really getting scary because also, Ladies Island, have several permits. I was just learning that to be able to build, and that's just a lot of growth that's coming on and on this side of Beaufort County. And it's almost getting scary in terms of storms and where's the water going to go if the drains and the town is pretty much is full of water now. Where's the water going to go? So I just caution us all that and meetings and talking about growth to us to bring up those points as well. Thank you.
That's a good point, because that growth has impact on our buildings in a lot of cases. When you had impervious surface around where our schools are, that water's got to run someplace and often will run into our school grounds. So that's a very good point. And we'll bring that up next Tuesday as well.
Right now.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Now, the mayor of Beaufort gave us a pitch about that today as well. Okay, I think we've covered that topic. Future topics?
Oh, we're looking at.
Yeah, we need a motion.
Motion to, in the full board, authorize transfer and increase fund balance above $707 million from general fund to capital budget.
Right, I'll second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Okay. And the future topics? Anything? Any future topics?
I have one.
Go ahead.
Fourth quarter preliminary financial report. So it'll be the preliminary year-end unaudited numbers, but we give you a glimpse of what that year-end number is going to look like at that point.
I don't believe, we've told the full board or talked about the new audit. Right.
We have new auditors for ACE. We have our same auditors, Malden and Jenkins, for our 5th year, and this will be the final year of our.
This will be the final year
Yes, they're performing our audit now, and we'll be going out for bid in December
in December.
for the next
For the
audit.
next, okay.
Mhm. ACE changed auditors this year because theirs got out of the auditing business.
Yeah. I remember that. That is a good
Okay.
topic. Okay, I have nothing else. Do you have anything
Next
further?
meeting,
Next meeting?
so are we good to go back? Our next meeting would be September the 12th.
September 12th. Sounds good to me. Earl, does it look all right?
That's fine with me.
Same time?
Great.
Okay, there's no further actions.
I do have a
Yes.
question.
Yes, go ahead, sir.
In terms of the cost of the vehicles that we have and the maintenance and what's that costing us right now as a district? I would like to get a clear understanding of an idea of how many vehicles we have and what is it costing us as a district to run.
Did you see the thing that was given out at the operations committee with every vehicle and got mileage on every vehicle, the age of them and so on? We don't have cost data on it. We can tell you it's gonna cost a lot more than what it was.
Right.
But you want,
I'll just take that report first, and then I'll see if it's necessary to questions. How about that? I'll just go ahead and start with that first.
okay, all right.
Okay.
Sounds- All right, thank you very much.
I do not. I'll try back again.